Thanks to Colonial Brewing Co. for sponsoring the pod today.
Thank you, Colonial.
For those of you who may not know,
It's pros and cons time! Mr. Smith?
Hey, who's that?
David Zakapakarakis.
Wrong.
How the bloody hell do you say that?
Pros and cons.
What is going on, everybody?
Daniel, how are you? New year.
2020.
2020, here we are.
Oh, mate, we've taken the longest break, haven't we?
We have, but the pros and the cons are back.
Pros and the cons is back, mate. How you been?
Very well, mate. Very, very well. Just preparing for the season.
Couple of weeks away.
Yes, a couple of weeks away. We are now, which is awesome. But more importantly, how's you? How's dad life?
Dad life's good, mate. I've had a bit of the man flu, bit of coronavirus.
You don't
maybe.
sound too great.
Yeah, bit of coronavirus. I've
Yeah,
got.
so the three other people in this room are probably going to get it from you.
It's all right.
Thanks.
Chill out together for a
Yeah.
while. We're right.
We'll quarantine ourselves in this room.
Well, the
It's great.
coronavirus is going pretty hard as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Got your toilet paper?
Yes, I stock up at Costco, so I got it well and truly beforehand, before we even started. A pre-coronavirus.
Tell you what, there's some morons out there getting some toilet paper stack up. What are you going to do with all that toilet paper?
Yeah, I know. I haven't even been to the supermarket this week, and this is the week that everyone's going there. So I'm interested to see. I think I'm going to go there after I swap cars over, and after I do something after this, and then to actually see what the supermarket's like. I actually just want to go in there and see if it's empty.
Yeah, zombie apocalypse happening, apparently.
It'll be interesting to go see that.
Well, I've already got the coronavirus, everybody, so that's good. No, just a bit of the man flu, mate. But I've been good otherwise. Dad life is great. Had a good break.
Yes.
Apologies to the listeners. We've had a long break. We were supposed to finish up a bit later in the year, but you copped a bit more injury and surgeries and stuff, which we then just decided to take the rest of the year and come back fresh.
Yes, unfortunately, it was a bit hard to do it because I'd end up having from not just one surgery, not two, but three surgeries in the end. So it was kind of a bit hard to coordinate that through the recovery and not knowing what I was doing the next week was having another surgery or staying at home for 2 weeks doing nothing, that kind of thing. So apologies to people and to you, mate, that we couldn't get one. And then the start of this year's kind of been a whirlwind too, with just we had training camps and then Australia Day weekend and then just trying to get ready for the season. So we're back now.
So it's going to be a big year. Got a big guest today.
Yes.
Abbey Holmes is here.
Yes. Survivor, fresh off
Survivor. Yeah, just got voted out a couple of weeks ago for those who watch Survivor, but she's also AFLW gun, won a flag for the Crows in the inaugural season of the AFLW.
Won a few more than just one flag.
Yeah, one flag for AFLW.
Yes.
What about all the others that she's won outside?
Exactly.
So pumped to have her in on our first ep back of the of 2020, which is great. Going to be pumped to talk about her.
Yep.
Talk to her.
Definitely.
What else is happening? Sport? Footy? Nothing else.
No, I've got nothing for you, mate. I'm excited. The NBA season's just winding down towards the playoffs, mate.
Yeah.
Washed King is having a great year.
Yeah, the Washed King.
The Washed King.
Yes.
He's tearing it up.
We've had
great.
Loads of pros and cons this off season, which we might do on another app when we're not as busy with guests.
Yes.
Tyson Fury versus Wilder. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I did watch that. Yep.
Unreal.
Loved it. Fury.
Love
Got
Fury.
him. Loved him.
Yeah, Gypsy King.
Gypsy King.
He is a gun. We might play some grabs from him.
Number 3 happening in July potentially.
Yeah, and they're talking about doing that at the new Vegas
Stadium,
outdoor stadium that
That'd
they're
be
building
amazing.
for the Raiders.
That would be
which
unbelievable.
would be insane. And then Joshua awaits likely Fury if he does the same thing as he did last time.
That would be great.
Actually, I've got a question for you, which we'll throw at now. Deontay Wilder blamed the 40-kilogram suit that he wore out, which was like a big thing of gold, sort of black gold armor, diamonds and stuff that he wore out. And he said that it wore him out on the 25-meter walk from the change rooms to the ring. How do you feel about the old pre-fight armor?
I saw this on Instagram and I saw his quote a couple of days after the fight. And if he's done that, he's a peanut. Like, it's his own fault. Like, if you're... I mean, it looked great.
Did it?
I thought it looked pretty
I don't
cool.
like it.
I didn't look... sorry, there's a photo where in the light, there's obviously the stadium lights or whatever went black and then it sort of lit up. And that one photo sort of looked good, but then during his actual walkout, it didn't look that great because it wasn't lit up, that kind of thing. And the lights were obviously shining on him. So, but I'm massively against it in terms of, mate, if you feel like it affected your performance, then
why'd you do it?
Why'd you do it? But then the other thing is, mate, if you're just making excuses, like Fury just beat you. So
convincingly, like beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a bit of I don't know. I just don't think you should have done it.
Yeah.
Just sit in a chair like Fury did. You're a king.
Yeah, that was cool.
Sit on your throne.
Well, I saw a piece of footage of Mike Tyson walking in, probably like early 90s.
Yep.
With nothing, no music, no shoes on, not even like a hood on, nothing, nothing. Just walked
come to
out.
battle.
And that is more intimidating to me than some massive, crazy piece of jewelry on your head.
Well, the other thing that could have tied him out was, I don't know if you saw again on Instagram before the fight. So Fury's in there mucking around, having jokes, laughing with people, and Wilder was in the back pacing. And the Instagram caption was, he's been pacing for an hour. Yeah. And it's like, if you're pacing up and down for an hour, of course you're going to be tired. Like, what do you think you're doing? Whereas Fury's in there just relaxing, having fun, having jokes, and ends up going out and winning.
Yeah, dominant. Well, mate, let's get straight into Abbey Holmes because I'm really pumped to be back and pumped to chat to her.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Abby, thanks for coming in.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
Fresh off Survivor. Not really though, right?
No, yes. 2019 was probably the busiest year of my life, to be honest. So obviously season 4 took place and we went away and filmed for that end of April to end of June, and it aired in July. Had about 5 weeks off when I got back from season 4 and then went again for All Stars. So we filmed that mid-August and then they went through to October. So it's a very busy year.
And that's not, there you go. I was going to say that's on now. Like that's on TV now.
Yeah. So we've essentially had to keep that hush-hush for 6 months. So, yeah, that was a bit tricky. But, yes, at least it's all rolling out now and we can see how it all unfolded.
Is it weird watching that back and going through all the emotions again, what you went through?
It is, especially having that 6 months in between because you've had so much time to reflect and, you understand what happened from your game and your perspective. But when you see it all unfold from 24 people's different perspectives, it's really quite interesting to watch and frustrating at the same time.
Has anyone said anything about you on the show that you look back and go, I wish I wish my strategic was, I don't know, played it a little bit differently so I could maybe have a go at them or that kind of thing? Or because, I mean, obviously during the show, everyone talks to camera and they talk about the other contestants and that. Is there anything you've heard that you thought, shit, I didn't know you'd think that about me?
I think in All Stars I was painted so differently to how I am normally. So season 4, I was really happy with my edit because I went in there, I was 100% myself. I didn't change. I'm not a massive game player in terms of lying and cheating and that kind of thing. But All Stars, you go back and they kind of painted me out to be, slamming Shonny for not being strong enough in challenges and that kind of thing, and that it was all my idea and I was the dictator of our alliance, but that wasn't the case whatsoever. We had a really good alliance. Everybody, we worked as a cohesive group and everybody had their say. However, they really did paint it like it was myself versus Shonny and she came back for revenge and got me out, that kind of thing.
I look at the production of that and it like gives me anxiety because you're in it's Fiji, right?
Yeah.
And then you're on this island somewhere. It's probably stinking hot by the looks of it. And then you always see the camera really close up with like 2 people who are strategizing. I'm like, that looks pretty obvious. They're out in the water with like a camera right next to them and they're like whispering around. Is it that obvious or is it just you're filming all day, all night that you just don't really know what's going on?
It is obvious, post obviously immunity challenges. If you lose, that's when all of the massive strategy goes, happens when you've got to vote somebody out. But outside of that, there is camera guys, there's audio crew, there's producers, left, right and centre. So yeah, they're always around. So every little bit of conversation is captured. But yeah, I would honestly hate to be an editor on that show. And I do have so much respect for them because you've got hours and hours, days and days of vision that you have to try and cut up into a 90-minute episode. So it would be pretty hard.
So I'm a massive fan of the show. And one
so
question.
Actually, we've never talked about this.
Yeah,
as well.
I am. I watch it quite religiously. So one question I've always wanted to know the answer to is, so in that after the challenges, before Tribal Council, and you do see these questions, people having little conversations. Is that set up when they walk away? Do they go, you two need to go walk away and have a chat? Because you always wonder, how do you have a private conversation when so say if it was us 3, I would know that you two are walking off and trying to maybe scam against me and where are you going? I'll come over. But you always find that people end up being alone away from the tribe.
It's brutal and that's the mind games of it all. So it really does mess with you when you're out there. But Survivor is so raw, it's so organic. They don't set up anything from a production side of things. They don't say, Abs, you and Dave go over and have a chat and whatnot, and none of that happens. It is so organic, it's so real, and they really do let it unfold as to what's happening from the players.
So there's a cameraman and a producer sitting there going, oh shit, Abby's just walked over there with someone. Let's go follow him. Is that kind of what's happening?
They follow you, 100%. They follow you. Yeah, honestly, it's very rare to be able to have a conversation that's not caught on camera. But we're forever talking about food all the time, food and family all the time, and none of that obviously makes it. So we would just spend hours and hours and hours speaking of that stuff.
I was going to ask you about food because it looks like you fend for yourself relatively the whole time. You're fending for yourself. Is that right?
So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously we get provided with rice and beans from production. However, that's rationed. So it's not like you have an endless supply of rice and beans. And then outside of that, it really is what you can forage in the jungle, really. So whether it's coconuts, papayas, we went fishing a few times, but you find a fish that's 5 centimetres long and you have to try and share that between 12 people. It really is brutal. So I ended up losing 8 kilos the first time. After 46 days. Yep. And then I still lost 5 kilos after just the 16 days in All Stars.
Wow. Do people really struggle with that more than others?
The big boys do, because obviously they're used to eating a hell of a lot. Like you look at Zach, who's an absolute, monster. I think a lot of the boys end up losing about 12, 13 kilos. So it is pretty crazy.
I find it funny watching back, like especially the All Stars, because you got like Matt Rogers, like ex NRL great, and like some of these athletes, and then there's some guys when there was All Star contenders from the season before that you're on, and there's some guys who aren't quite, or not the athletes, but then they really, really want to show up that they are athletes a little bit. Do you get that where they really go hard on the challenges a bit more than some of the athletes to try to prove that they're the guys?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And it's so funny, like Daisy in particular, who, her and I had a number of great battles in season 4. I remember, in the first episode that she beat me in, how much she celebrated. And I was like, mate, calm down. I'm like, righto, hero. You got to win. Calm down. So they really do try and take it to the champions.
Was that the one where they had you on in the water and you had to push each other off? That was a different one?
So that was in All Stars.
That was epic.
That was legitimately day 3. So the challenges in All Stars went up tenfold. So we had a number of injuries in All Stars. We had 3 ACLs, a PCL, a shoulder reco, 2 fractured vertebrae. I've got, like my knees are scarred from friction burn from that challenge. And there was people who ended up in hospital with infections. So it really was brutal series All Stars. So, I'm pumped to see who comes out with the win, because they certainly will be the All-Star.
Have you been watching it?
Absolutely.
Who do you think is going to win? Just out of that curiosity.
I've got a pretty good idea of who I think will win. Yep. However, you just never know. But obviously my season 4 crew, I'd love to see Dave take it out. He's my boy. Him and I, he's like my brother now. We're Bonnie and Clyde, as people say. And he has been probably the best Survivor player that we've ever seen in all time globally. So I would love to see him take it out.
So for the finale, do you guys all then get together? So is the finale set as a date and then you're going to go there?
Yeah, so we've got to film the finale in a couple of weeks. However, I had a bit of a clash. So it's round 1, game 1 at the MCG, Richmond Carlton.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the Survivor finale.
Oh, wow.
Because of course I was going to pick footy. I'm a bit of a footy head.
Yep.
But yeah, look, we've got a season 4 catch up the night before on the Wednesday in Sydney. So I'll be there for that and then fly out and head to the G on the Thursday.
Lovely. Footy priorities, mate.
What a terrible
See your
time.
mom get smashed.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it's so funny how many of the footballers are massive fans. We were just talking about this before.
Yeah.
I was at Richmond last year playing and obviously Jack Rewalt, Alex Rance, massive fans, but Dimmer.
Oh, really?
Great. So I worked Richmond Carlton at the G, pointy end of last year's season. So quite an important game. They didn't want to drop that one, obviously. I'm walking down the race. Dimmer's walking up and he stopped me and he's like, Abs, tell me everything. Like, does this happen? Does that happen? What's Dave like? What's Luke like? And I'm like, mate, you've got a game to coach. Brilliant. This is pre-game. I said, you go coach this game and then we'll have a chat at the club later. So
that's so good. That's when you know you trust your players. You can focus on Survivor, they focus on the game.
I think it's the only show where, especially in reality TV, where the villains, I guess, in air quotes, that they put together, you actually really like to watch. And for me, I think the guys who are really dodgy and play like those backstabbing games are my favourite. Like Harry. Spoiler alert, but Harry just went out. If you haven't watched it by now, catch up. Come on. But he just went out. I really liked him. He was always going back. And I like Dave a lot too. But in anything else, where they're the villains, I don't think you like them as much. It's kind of crazy how that works.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Sort of anti-hero thing.
And Survivor's a game of deception, isn't it? It's lying, it's cheating, it's doing whatever it takes to make sure that you've A, got the opportunity to pitch the jury in the final two, but B, you're ultimately the winner of a Survivor season. So you've got to do those moves to really gain the respect, as funny as that sounds, from the jury to be the winner.
So you get voted out, which was on for our time a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And what do? Do you hang around in Fiji? Like, might just chill out here for a while?
So what happens is you basically get voted out. I got
First season, you went and hung out at a cool resort.
Oh
didn't
yeah.
you?
I was in the jury for season 4, which is amazing.
That's terrific.
So you go back, you've got your beautiful little villa on the water. You've got a pool, a lake, and the ocean.
No way.
You just any food that you want, they'll cook it for you.
That's amazing.
And we had such a good jury last year. Like Shawnee Hampson, obviously Lukey came out, Dave, Daisy, John. We had the best crew, so it was a really good time. I was lucky that I was only there for 4 days, though, because. Yeah. When you're eating and for the others drinking that much, it's time to get out of Fiji. But then obviously after day 16, getting blindsided, that was a plain and simple blindside from my perspective. I was out 2 days after.
Yeah, wow. So just at home.
Yeah. So the next day you have to finish off any loose ends if you've got some interviews to do and whatnot. And then, you're on the plane back to Australia.
That's amazing. 5 kilos in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's pretty brutal.
Does it hit the system when you come back and have, does your first meal have to be small and then increase from there? Or you just load up and went, I'll feel sick if I feel sick?
Yeah, I think after that situation, you go hard. I basically binge ate everything inside.
What's your number one? What just went, I just need this straight away?
Oh, a schnitzel.
Okay.
Yeah, a schnitzel. So when you go into the game as well, you put in a wish list of when you come out, this is what I want to eat. You guys are going to get me this as soon as I get out. So on mine, I remember I had like burgers, a schnitzel, and my mum does the most amazing like pork chops. So I had pork chops and everything as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, but it is a real shock to the system. And what you don't see off air is obviously when we do win rewards and we go nuts, whether it's ice cream or burgers, fish and chips. We are so sick.
I thought about that the other day because they had a cake one the other night. Did you see that? And they're all smashing cake and I just couldn't help but think like how much that would hurt.
We are so sick afterwards for about 24 hours. So it's, you never see people go so crazy for that kind of reward. And yes, you want it, but sometimes it's just not worth the pain.
Oh, that's good.
Brilliant.
Well, maybe let's go back to I guess the beginning of your life. Maybe not that far, but let's go back to talk about a bit of you growing up. You played netball growing up pretty competitively. I think you repped Australia.
Yeah. So netball was my life for many, many years. So I was lucky enough to play for Australia and South Australia at a junior level and the Northern Territory when I ended up moving to Darwin. But that was what I lived for when I was a teenager growing up. Did
you have any interest in footy growing up?
So I actually played footy. I gave everything a hand in school. A go in school, as you do. So I played everything. So footy, I played in 9-a-side competitions and knockout, as you do, but there was never that elite level to aspire to get to. So that's why netball was my jam. So
And then Darwin happened, and was that a big change from where you were?
Tore Darwin apart.
We'll get into that.
Darwin is honestly the best thing that I've ever done in my life. So I originally moved up there with my boyfriend at the time. So he had just made the decision he was going to go up there and play in the NTFL season for 6 months, get some, new experiences under his belt. Moved up there and I stayed in Adelaide thinking he was going to come back. But as most blokes do, fell in love with the place, didn't want to leave, the fishing, the lifestyle, everything about it. So as a 21-year-old, never been to Darwin in my life, I made that decision to move up there. It was my father's worst nightmare, having his youngest daughter who'd never lived out of home, crossing the country. But as I said, hands down the best thing I've ever done. And I got straight into real estate when I moved up there.
Okay. And footy?
And footy, yeah.
How'd that happen?
So it was actually the girls that I played netball with. So as soon as I landed there, Darwin, day one, found a netball club, as you do. And then I go out to training, played a season with them, and then what they do up there is because the seasons don't clash like they do down south. So obviously down here, netball and footy is a winter sport. But up there, what we do is we play netball for 6 months, footy for 6 months. So netball from March through September, and then footy September through March. So yeah, those girls convinced me to go out to the Waratahs, and 4 flags in 4 years. Can't complain with that.
How many games in did you realise you could just start dominating the comp?
So I rocked up night 1 training. I was nervous as all hell, and the coaches looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, you look like a midfielder," because I'm stocky, like tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
And then so put me in the midfield, but then I was naturally just gravitating towards goal, kicking goals. So I was just a natural forward. So it was only about 2-3 games in where I made the transition into the forward line. And in my first year up there with Waratahs, I kicked 67 in the year.
Just a lazy 67.
How many games do they play in a season?
So I think there's 18 up there, but I would have missed a couple as well.
Average of 4 or 5 a game.
No, well then it was...
So that's your first year of footy. You
That
kicked
was the first year.
67 goals in the first year you've ever played footy, right?
Yeah, competitively, yes.
Yeah.
And then after that season, we won the flag as well. And I was like, oh, how good's this? Reflected, looked at the next year and said, why can't I kick 100? Like, what's stopping me from kicking the 100? And I remember there was the, obviously Melbourne and Western Bulldogs had started their exhibition games, and nobody from the Northern Territory was drafted, which really pissed me off because there's so much talent up there.
Yep.
And I just kind of said to myself, I want to bring more attention and interest to the incredible female footballers that are in the Territory, and how can I do that? Kick 67, why can't I kick the ton? So I set myself the goal early in the season, and it was just incredible the buy-in that I got from the girls, from the coaches.
To kick the ton.
To kick the ton.
Yeah, you wouldn't be saying no, would you?
Girls, get around me. We're going to kick the ton.
That's the thing. Like, it was never something that I openly said to them. I'd never said, girls, I'm going to kick a ton this year and you're going to help me get it. I never said that, but in my mind, I had that goal.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're getting closer. So there was the 50, 70, 80, and then, complete and utter buy-in. And that last 10, of course, they're just handballing you the chicken.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. At what stage did they kind of say something like that to you? Like, we're going to try and get you there. Was it at 90 or was it?
No, it was probably the half. Yeah, the half ton
50.
where they've just got.
Yeah.
So I ended up
3 rounds into the season.
Well, I ended up kicking. It was 105 or 14.
105 goals or 14 games of footy.
Yeah.
16 in one game? Was that your high?
16-5, yeah.
16-5,
yeah. 16-5.
Yeah, what happened with those 5?
I know. I just got back from Bali at 3:30 in the morning on that morning, actually. So, It'd
be great if you could do that in the AFL. Come back at Bali at 3 a.m. and then kick 16.
And then kick 16.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it was it was a crazy time in my life. And I'm so glad to have had so much support from Waratahs. Once again, coaches, players, like, it certainly wasn't an individual accolade. It was the ability of everybody to get there in the end.
Apart from 105 goals. And let's talk about individual accolades for that. I mean, I've got some stats which are crazy. 7 or more goals 9 times. 3 times you kicked 10 or more. And then you had 16-5 as your best. That's crazy numbers.
Should have been 21, really.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it was, as I said, it was a very fun time of my life. And I was, working as a real estate agent, playing footy, because, our main kind of job time is weekends.
Yep.
That's when we make our dough. So I would literally go to open inspections. It's such a big footy loving community up there. I'd talk footy for an hour. Properties would sell themselves. You'd kick goals and you were just loving life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's individual success. But you had team success. You won 4 flags up whilst being up there.
Yeah.
What was that like, just winning 4 flags with all the girls around there? Do you still have premiership reunions with all the girls? I mean, that's a big crew to have premiership reunion with each year.
Yeah. Well, good luck to the Waratah Footy Club, who are playing in their 9th straight tomorrow.
How many have they won out of that?
They've won, I think, 6.
Okay.
I don't want to rob them of any. But yeah, to be a part of 4 straight.
Yeah.
They're such a successful club on the women's side.
Yep.
And yeah, it was brilliant to be a part of it. And yeah, some of the best friends that I've made come out of that footy club.
Do you go back up there and have reunions?
Absolutely.
When was the last one?
Oh, well, the girls, a lot of them are still playing there. So they celebrate the flags on a week-to-week basis in Darwin.
You kind of have to, don't you? If you win that many.
Yeah. But it's such a good lifestyle up there. Like it's play hard, work hard, play hard. My mum, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephews are up there. So I try and sneak up there as much as I possibly can.
Awesome. And you said your goal was to try to get more notice for female footy up there, and you got to play in the Teddy Whitten game.
Yeah.
After your season of kicking 105?
Yeah. So that was the funny stories as well, because it was the year after, and Croft was actually in town for Auskick, and he heard wind of my story and asked to interview me. So we sat down and had a chat, and just in closing, he said to me, Abs, if I can, would you be interested in playing in my team, the All-Stars, in the EJ Whitten Legends game? And I just looked at him and said, righto, mate. Like, that's just a passing comment. It's not going to happen. And then, bless Croft, came through with the goods and, ended up lining up for the All-Stars for 3 years straight.
That's awesome.
And being the only girl to run out there the first year in front of, I think there was 26,000 at Etihad at the time, now Marvel. It was unbelievable. And so that certainly did bring more attention and interest, as I said, to women's footy, particularly in the Northern Territory, which was my goal.
How did you find that coming in and being the only female to run out there? And obviously everyone was talking about it. I remember 5-6 years ago, you were the 100-goal girl from Darwin coming down playing footy. Like that's what they're labelling you as. And how'd you find that? Was it exciting? Was it thrilling? Did you feel the pressure? Like what was going through your head?
All of the above, to be honest. It was really intimidating because there was so many guys there that I've grown up idolising, being a footy head myself. So going out there and just being a part of it was a real honour and a privilege to be a part of something that was such a great cause as well. But once again, lifelong friends. So every single opportunity that I've had, I've really just taken it by the balls and, ran with it. And, amazing friends from that experience.
Now with the game, whenever people are watching, they always love to watch the past players who try the hardest and the other players just take the piss and enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Was there anything in you going out there going, I actually want to try here and kick a few, or were you more like, I want to enjoy the game?
I wanted to kick as many goals as I possibly could. There's no way I was going to take it easy.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So it was really fun. The first year, I think we had, Karl Stefanovic, who was sculling beer behind a post. And then you've got others who take it really seriously. Richo a few years later in my last year, he's one that takes it really seriously.
Was that the one who missed the goal from directly in front?
Yeah.
When they had a shootout?
Yeah, the shootout. And he was legitimately so nervous. He was sweating, sweaty palms.
Biggest choke I've ever seen on TV.
But it's so much fun and once again for a great cause as well. So.
Yes.
What during that time was when the Melbourne and the Bulldogs were doing exhibition games.
Yep.
Before the AFLW had started, and you didn't get selected for that team.
Yep.
And I've read a bit about and heard a little bit about that time that you were in, and you went and spoke to one of the coaches.
Yeah, Michelle Cowan.
Yeah, tell us about that time and how that was for you to not to get picked to play.
Yeah, well, year one, as I said, nobody from the Northern Territory got picked. Set the goal to get more interest up there. Year two, nobody got picked. And it was really deflating at the time because so what more could we do? It's not just 100 goals. It's the midfielders that are delivering it to you lace out each and every time. So once again, really disappointing. So I kind of took it upon myself to get some feedback as to how I can improve and how I can potentially get an opportunity to play in one of those games. And Michelle Cowan was great. So she was the head coach of Melbourne in the exhibition times. And she just said, Abs, we don't want a one-dimensional forward. Like you literally sit in the square, you lead out, you take a mark, you kick a goal. She's like, I want to see you push up the ground, be the one creating those scoring opportunities, not the one finishing them off. So it was the year after that in, my third year of footy that I kind of played more of a centre-half forward role, chop out in the mid. Yeah. And that's when, I guess my game really started to change. So it was good. And
did that then you think helped you lead to get picked by the Crows once they decided to do that? Do you think that was a big part of the change that was needed?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, at the end of the day, you do have to kick the goals, yes, but I really took that, I guess, advice from Michelle and just said, well, that's going to better my game. And with the way that the women's game was evolving and moving, it was certainly more free-flowing, fast-flowing, that kind of thing. So I really wanted to get up the ground and work on my fitness and running and that kind of thing. And I certainly think that conversation that I had with Michelle Cowan, buying her a coffee in Darwin when she was up there, I think she was there for work or footy, it certainly did lead to getting picked up by the Crows.
Just on that, because I wouldn't think there'd be too much fitness involved in just being a forward that leads out and just takes smart kicks a goal. Did you take it upon yourself to then, hire someone or talk to someone about getting fitter, training just, differently in that process?
Absolutely. And we were really lucky that, so AFL Northern Territory were in obviously constant communication with Adelaide about the JV that they were going to do for the first year of the AFLW. So it was a really tough time then because I had to make a choice if I wanted to stop playing netball, if I wanted to kind of pursue footy more seriously, I had to stop playing netball.
Yep.
So I did that, and then we were lucky. We had S&Cs at NT Thunder at that point in time, AFL Northern Territory, who really helped us, get on track. We were heading into the draft. We probably had about a 6-month pre-season, knowing that it was coming up, knowing that it was a possibility we were getting looked at by the Crows. So they really did nail that 6 months prior to the draft and, got us as well prepared as we possibly could.
Fast forward to the draft. What was that like? Two of us in the room know what draft day is like. But
I was there with you.
Yeah, you were there with me. Yeah.
I know a little bit about it.
What was
I bet
that
it would have
like?
been different actually. Were you listening to it on a radio?
Yeah, so the
Yeah, we were. Yeah, radio. We had the radio back in the day. That's what it was.
So AFLW is live streamed on the internet.
Yep.
Everyone was at work.
On the internet.
On the
wasn't
internet.
around back then.
And you've had conversations with people who've said it's a possibility, but I don't believe anything until it happens because you don't want to leave yourself in that really disappointed situation. So I just know I was sitting at home in Darwin downstairs. My brother-in-law was the only other person home and he could tell how nervous I was. Jason Rowe, he's actually played for Collingwood and Brizzy many years ago now. Many years ago. And he could tell how nervous I was getting. And so he was just cleaning. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want to, sit down with me and potentially not happen and be awkward. And so he was cleaning downstairs. And then, when it happened, I just burst out in tears because it was more of a relief than anything else. And, just a big hug from Rowie. And then, my mum called, dad called, everybody was watching as well, which they didn't let me know until prior because they, once again, didn't want it to be a disappointing day. So, it was really exciting.
And then year one at the Crows, flag.
Another
Someone's
one.
a flag magnet.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's 5 flags in 5 years?
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's greedy, mate. I played 12 and 1 none, so thanks. Yeah, it's greedy.
Yeah, and what a year that was because it's just remarkable. So we had 9 girls based in Darwin. So imagine having, a third of your list, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I remember that year you were putting up on your Instagram.
Yeah.
You guys were training in Darwin. You'd go away and then come back. And I remember messaging you saying like, what are you guys like?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you
What's the
training in Adelaide
structure?
or are you in
No.
Darwin or what's happening there? So it's such a unique situation.
We had 9 girls based in Darwin. The rest of the squad was in Adelaide. We literally got together on 2 occasions prior to round 1.
Wow.
And then we just got together with their mates on the weekend, won a few games of footy, and then, won the flag in the inaugural year, created history with, your best friends. We would Skype in every training session.
Yeah. So you were flying in, flying out to play games.
Fly in, fly out.
It's an amazing concept.
Yeah, and for the Darwin girls, for the first year of the AFLW, we travelled 7 out of the 8 games, which is a lot from Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Beck Goddard was incredible, along with Andrew Hodges, who looked after the NT contingent. I just think that she did a brilliant job in drafting not just the talent, but drafting the right people to make that relationship work. It was like an organised marriage, and if there was one flog on that list, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, right.
We have to trust the system. You girls are going to go back and do the right thing and prepare and train just as well for an AFLW game as anyone else that's in state. Like it's trusted upon you girls to do that, and it's amazing that you end up winning a flag from it.
Yeah, and I love the list that we had, but we by no means had the most talented list in terms of, year 1 of the AFLW, names on paper.
Yep.
But we just got it. We bought in. We made it work. We knew that we were the underdogs, especially everybody who recognised that situation said, they'll be lucky to win a game or 2 this year. And then we went out and beat Brizzy by a goal at Metricon, which was another, one of the best days of my life.
And what now you in the history books is, the very, very first AFLW flag. How does that make you feel? And from coming from Darwin, kicking 105 goals to now, now you're going to be known as the very first, one of the very first people to ever win a flag for AFLW.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, I'm really proud of the group that we've had, both, from Waratahs, from the Crows. We've just had the right people to be involved to be so successful in those years. And to be able to share that with that group in the inaugural year with the Crows was pretty amazing. It was unfortunate the boys couldn't get it done because we were really looking at the double in 2017.
Yes.
But, it was a great time.
How is the game of AFLW situated at the moment, you reckon? Like how do you see it?
It's, I guess, the improvement that we've seen on a year-on-year basis. We're only in the 4th year of AFLW, and look at how much it's proved since year 1.
The junior participation in AFL is amazing from the female talent now.
Yeah. Participation rates have gone through the roof. Yeah. And what excites me the most is that, there's young girls sitting at home on the couch with their mum, dad, brother, sister, whatever it might be, and they can now, visualise themselves playing AFLW because traditionally they've only seen the men doing that. Yeah. So now they turn it on, they see Erin Phillips, they see Maddie Pressbarkis, they see all of these, female superstars of the game. It's really exciting, and that's a big part as to why the participation is just going through the roof is because there is that elite level now to aspire to get to.
Every now and then, and I think even this week, Steve Price said some negative stuff. And negative stuff gets thrown around every now and then, pops up and makes some news. How do you feel about it when you see that stuff being said, which is likely not to help anything?
Yeah.
But what does it make you feel, and what do you say to those people that are talking negative about the game?
It makes me mad, to be honest. You look at the men's game for what it is today, and that is 150 years of history. We're not saying that AFLW is meant to be that standard or bring in that many commercial partners or whatever it might be today because we're only in year 4. But what I say is just give it a go. Give it time. We are in such an incredible spot after just 4 years of AFLW, and it's only going to continue to grow on a year-to-year basis. So it's going to get bigger, better, faster, stronger. Hopefully in the next however many years, we'll see fully fledged professional AFLW athletes just like the men. So when they get to that stage, then of course they're going to be able to grow the game even more.
I think what's exciting is that a lot of you'll know more than me, but percentage-wise of athletes that are playing in AFLW play other sports or have come from other sports.
And they get recruited and want to play AFL.
And what's exciting is in 5 years, 10 years time, when all these girls have been playing from when they're kids, not just making the transition like you did, they're going to be amazing. They're going to be really good at football. And that's the difference, I think, right now, is that a lot of the people that are playing right now might not have even picked up a ball until the last couple of years, which is crazy to think about.
Exactly right. There's so many cross-coders that, like me, you never had that opportunity to play footy at a high level because there wasn't the option. Whereas, when that was readily available to you, we're seeing the likes of Erin Phillips come over from basketball and, Ash Brazel from netball, soccer girls. We've got 20-odd Irish girls over here at the moment playing AFLW in Australia. They've made the move for that opportunity. So it really is pretty incredible. But now, particularly over the last 2 years, I look at some of these girls that are coming out of the draft from, the 16, 18 programs, and they are genuine footballers.
Yep.
They are genuine footballers. Like, it gives me goosebumps. But Maddie Pressbarkis, she's 19, plays far beyond her years. She's my pick for the MVP this year. Lucy McAvoy, another one at Carlton this year, drafted. She's 18 and she's taking the competition by storm. So as you said, these girls are genuine footy players that are now coming through the ranks rather than just swapping codes and then picking up a Sharon.
Right. Yeah. Now the talent, like you said, the talent pool's coming through. We're a club who wants that talent pool to come through because we don't have an AFLW team. Do you see the AFL holding at the current teams they have for a couple of years, or do you see them expanding to teams? Because us and Hawthorn, two of the biggest clubs in Victoria, still don't have AFLW teams. Yeah,
I think that they will pull up now for a few years and just let it catch up again. They've done a brilliant job, Gil, Nicole Livingston, the AFL, in growing it really quickly. So we went from 8 teams to 10 to 14 in 4 years. I think they'll hold it here for a couple of years. As I said, just let everything catch up, let the talent pool really I guess, evolve,
Yep.
and then they'll look to expand. But I know that, Essendon
Yeah.
and Hawthorn are really itching at the bit to get a license.
We're building facilities right now
Yeah.
to host one.
There you go.
To host a Fenway,
and then
so.
and then it's just Sydney and Port Adelaide, and I'm sure that they are too, putting things in place for what their future looks like with their AFLW prospects.
Well, we've talked about flags, and what happens when you win a flag is you drink lots of frothies. And our sponsor is Colonial. There's your segue.
Geez, you're good, mate.
Oh, I know. I get paid the big bucks for the segues, and I also get paid the big bucks to make really good quiz intros. So we've got our Colonial quiz coming up.
gosh.
Let's hear the intro, which should be on there now. That was it.
I was actually sitting at home last night thinking, I'm going to make a quiz to quiz you on. And I didn't do it.
Oh, that's
and
good.
I'm shattered that you've done one.
Excuse
Because now I'm nervous.
Yeah, well,
if I'm involved.
So yes, so how we run our quiz is always one of us versus one of our
Oh,
guests.
no.
And the questions can be whatever I want them to be or whatever you want them to be.
I thought I had a really good one last
So
night and
it's-
I stuffed up.
It's David versus Abbey.
Yeah.
The winner, of course, as usual, gets a Colonial slab. Today we have the Birdie cider,
Yes.
the best cider going
Apple
around,
ciders.
slab on the table for both of you.
I hope these are
Whoever
pretty
wins.
easy questions.
Now I've got 4 questions.
Don't worry, we've already had our worst
two-
contestant on
2 each.
answering questions. So.
Who was that?
Steph.
Yeah, no, she didn't get many right, but that's all right.
So you're fine.
And I also then have a Survivor quiz right after that as well, which isn't about the show. It's about if you were going to survive, what would happen, all right? So
What reality show would you go on just before you say that? Would you, what would, out of all the reality shows on TV at the moment, I was going to ask you this earlier, but we moved on.
that's a good question. I do really enjoy Survivor. So I'd like to go on that, but I don't know. You know what's funny? My brother wants to be on the Amazing Race so bad.
Amazing Race would be
Yeah. So, and I think he actually wants my help putting an application in for him and his friend. That would be fun,
That'd
but
be
I
the
think
one.
it would be annoying. I think Survivor would be more fun.
Have you ticked off all your reality? Would you go on another one?
Doing Survivor twice in a year,
It's enough.
yeah, is enough.
enough.
The only reason I'd go back and play for a third time would be if it was like an Australia versus America, because that would be sick.
That'd be
that's
very
cool.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then other than that, I would probably do the Amazing Race, but I hate heights, so I couldn't do anything that's
You're not
jumping
supposed
out
to
of
tell
pla-
them that, though.
Yeah, I love
you-
heights.
Would you eat? Would you eat?
I'd eat anything.
Weird food in.
Yeah.
What, that's like,
I'm a celebrity.
That's-
Get me out of
the
here.
jungle ones,
No, you know
yeah.
I'm a celebrity. Get me
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
Would you eat? Would you? I couldn't do
See,
that.
I
'cause
wouldn't do
couldn't
that
eat
show.
exotic food.
Nah.
No.
I could eat things, I just can't do heights. Heights and
yeah.
reptiles. So
Yeah, okay.
that's me gone.
what would you do then?
I'll do purely based on that I couldn't eat any of that weird stuff. Either Survivor or Amazing Race.
Yeah.
Or the Block. I'd love to do.
Oh,
'cause
the
I
Block
love
would be
property.
fun. Yeah, the Block would
one
be
of
a
those
good one.
shows. But none of this reality like dating shows and all that.
Well,
I'm
no, you
definitely
wouldn't do
not.
it.
Nah,
Love Island?
definitely not.
Love Island?
Nope.
No? First date?
People think
Bachelor?
that, but I wouldn't do it. No.
Lucky is the new Bachelor. What
Yes,
the
I did
hell?
see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know, but
Lucky
nah.
from Survivor.
Never.
I think I like the challenges most from Survivor in terms of some of them
Yeah.
are brutal though. Some of those like
They
those
are.
like 9-hour ones or whatever.
Yeah, I love the mind games that some of them
Mm.
do. That's not just all physical. It's
Yeah.
how mentally strong you are.
Oh,
That's
and
what
that's
I
the
love.
thing. I always know that I'm mentally tough, but I found a level of mental toughness in those challenges that I had no idea existed.
Yeah.
Especially, when I won that car, that was 2 hours or something, standing on pegs this wide. I
Yeah,
couldn't
it's-
feel anything, but you just get through.
go through.
Well,
Yeah.
Sorry to get to your quiz, but speaking of like how the challenges went up.
Can you
like-
tell we don't want to do
Yeah,
the quiz?
sorry.
Avoiding the quiz like the plague.
But you said the challenges went up the other day when they had the holding of and they had to send on that. They said the weight of the bags went up like double from last
it was
season.
40% of their body weight
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, because Harry was like, "Oh, has anyone got to wait 8 hours or whatever with me this time?" They only lasted like an hour and a half because the weight.
The
was,
weight's different.
Yeah, it
Because
was
no
so
one in the
different.
crew wants to
Yeah.
be for
No.
7 hours.
Yeah,
God.
That was
Definitely.
smart. That was smart enough.
All right. Well,
let's
shall
go
we?
back.
And
Yeah,
that's
sure.
enough for today.
We'll start with David just to make it a bit easier on you.
Okay,
And,
good.
and this is a somewhat easy one because we've kind of already covered it. So I'll throw one up for you.
Oh, don't say that, mate.
We spoke about Abby's kicked 16 goals in a game before. Mm-hmm. How many behinds did she kick in that game? I'm going to give 3 because last time I gave 4 options, A, B, C, D, which is the normal. Do you agree that is the normal amount that you would
3.
give?
When you're trying to whip
3.
through 3,
Absolutely.
That's not a thing.
That's terrific. You
It's
said
just
that.
A, B, and C.
That's terrific.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the longest running show. It's definitely A, B, C, D. But I've done A, B, C just to
3.
make everyone happy. make this quiz go even shorter than it already has.
Thank you.
All right. So is it A, 4, B, 5, C, 6?
B. I'm not even going to have suspense in that.
Ding, ding. Yeah. They didn't want to drag it out. All right.
I didn't want to drag it out.
All right. So that's
I got
one.
sweaty palms. I hate quizzes.
So competitive over here.
All right. So you the most goals you've kicked is 16.
Oh,
What's the most goals Dave's kicked in a game? Is it A, 16, B, 6, C, 4?
Surely C.
4, yeah.
Hang on, what do you mean surely? I couldn't have 6? I've played up forward at parts of my career.
Kinda.
But she's right. So
She's right, I know. Good at her job, boundary riding.
Yes.
Knows the players.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
There you go.
All right. Dave, how many
Yes.
seasons of Survivor have there been? A,
Hang on. Australian? You haven't
World-
specified this.
worldwide.
So
How
it's
many
just-
seasons of Survivor?
So it's
franchise?
just Australian and American, or is it? Do we include all the other countries around the world?
Franchise.
European countries.
The
A lot of
Survivor-
countries do it.
Do they?
Yeah,
Survivor
South
franchise.
Africa.
yeah.
How many in the Survivor franchise have there been?
Okay, give me.
Yeah, I'll give it to me. You keep asking questions. A, 51,
That's we way more than that. Anyway,
B, 39, C, 350.
350 has to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
had to be.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Well, there's
There's
been
a lot,
40.
yeah.
Now they're on to 41 or something in America.
Yeah,
the
that's
40th
what-
yeah.
season right now in America, which is crazy.
But they do 2 seasons a year
They
of
do.
that. Yeah,
So we're all tied
All
up.
over it.
Let's
We're
see if
all
we can
over
tie
it.
this up on the 4th. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Which of the following is false? A, 11 people have walked out of Survivor in the history of Survivor. 11 people have walked out. B, David Ware's number 11. C, soccer, cricket and lacrosse have 11 players. Which one is false? Do you need them again?
Yeah.
It's a good question, isn't it?
I don't mind it. You've done a lot of
Yeah.
research for
Yeah.
this.
Can
Thank you.
I- Can Google?
Thanks, Annabelle, for this.
Put the phone down.
Okay, which is false?
Soccer and lacrosse aren't my jam, boys.
That's
Hang
all
on,
right.
can I just ask? Hang on. Yeah, did you do this or did Annabelle do this?
Oh,
Thanks, Annabelle. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Annabelle may have helped with this one.
Appreciate it.
All right. So A, 11 people have walked out of Survivor. B, David Ware's number 11.
Yeah.
C, soccer, cricket and lacrosse have 11 players.
We know
One of those
We
is
know
false.
one's true.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
one's true?
That I wear number 11. So the other
What?
2.
How does she know that?
No, well, it's my job.
If she knows I kick 4 goals, then she knows I wear number 11.
She knows it now.
I know that there's been people who have walked out of Survivor, but I don't know if it's 11.
It's A or C.
I don't know soccer at all. Is there?
Do you know the answer?
You're a sport
Do you
nut.
know?
How do you not know
I
soccer?
don't know soccer or lacrosse.
You've never watched a game of soccer?
No.
Really? Okay.
you
Yeah.
know-
Well, yeah, I know the
Do
answer.
you know the answer?
Yeah.
Do you really though?
Yeah. I
Done
know
your
the-
research on Survivor.
I know the cross, mate, and soccer.
I'm trying to get
You know what's the
something
best
out of
thing for
you.
podcasts?
Silence.
Silence. Oh my goodness. Well, I think that if there's 300 and something of Survivor, surely there's more than 11 people that have walked out. So I'm going to say C. No!
Lacrosse
many?
has how many? 10. Lacrosse has 10 players.
That's the one.
But so that was
Soccer
the wrong
has
one.
11.
11 is only 11 people walked out of
Really?
Survivor,
My
according
hope's
to
one of them.
Google. Sorry.
My hope was one of them then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to Google. Is that
Yeah, it might be
Wikipedia or?
incorrect.
Well,
We don't double fact check on these. Should find something online. It's true. All right. So
If you work at Survivor, then don't hate us, please.
unfortunately, that was the decider. But I have a true and false section.
Hang on, that was
Oh,
the
no.
decider. There's only 2 questions each. How
Yeah.
did a decider?
You got them both right, and she got them wrong. So you didn't need a decider.
Okay.
Deciding round. Sorry, we didn't. Need
We could have tied though. We only answered 2 questions each.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, I've got to just.
Have you only got 5 questions?
she doesn't have another question.
Yeah, shouldn't there be 3 each?
I miss. It's our first episode back.
Okay,
Relax.
I'm doing the quiz next
No,
time,
no, no.
people.
Listen,
I'll get
there's
back
more
on
of the
it.
quiz. I'm going to keep going. What I'm
Okay.
saying is that we don't need it for the decider because unfortunately David's won because you got one
Unfortunately,
wrong.
yes.
But
That's wrong.
we have true or false.
Abby gets this right, then okay, keep going.
No, we have a true or false. There's
All right.
Oh God.
there's 5 questions in the true or false. You both have to answer though. True or false.
Okay.
All right.
Hang on.
These
so
are
do we
so-
have a buzzer?
So this is a new quiz. I won the last one.
You can both just...
Dan's not a quiz man. I'll take the quiz next time.
Figure it out. I always win the quizzes. So all right. So these are survival questions, not Survivor the show.
Yeah.
But questions if you were, stuck on an island in Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
These are all true or false questions. Number one, you can suck venom out of a snake bite. True or false?
False.
I'll go with
But
true.
I'll
have to go with true because you got him first.
In saying that though,
No.
how heroic would you be? Like your mate on the golf course, like gets bitten, you suck it out of his leg, and then you go, "Mate, I saved your life." Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool story.
It would be a good story.
You would think that there would be more stories like that though if you could. So
Very true.
Yeah.
So what are we saying?
Well, he
Saying
said false, so therefore I have to say true, don't I?
You don't have to.
Oh.
We could.
say whatever you want.
There's 5 questions, so
There's 5 questions.
We could get 4 right each, and then you get the tiebreaker.
Correct.
Because Daniel always has a
Oh,
tiebreaker.
well, we haven't heard too many stories about somebody sucking out snake venom, so I might say false.
Both
False as well. You're both correct.
Correct. There you go. I talked you into that, so
You
thank
did.
me later.
No, well, I thought I had to go true because he went false.
It would be bad if you got bitten on like your foot or something and you could do that and you weren't very flexible.
Yes.
And you're on your own.
True.
Yes, true.
True.
Okay. So if you were stuck on a deserted island or if your plane crashed or something happened and whatever, you're in Lost, the TV series, and there's
Which went nowhere. Yep.
your first order of business is to find a stable food source. True or false?
But hang on, this is
so
subjective,
many-
very subjective.
yeah.
Why would I need to? I might not want to find a food source. I
That's
want
what
to
I'm
find
asking.
shelter.
I might want to
first.
do shelter. I might want to do fire.
Correct. So the question is, your first order of
How's it
business,
true or false?
is it true or false that your first order of business should be to find a food source first?
But it's very subjective.
I'll say true.
No, well, I mean, okay. What's the most important thing to find? Is it
True.
Shelter.
True.
This is not hard. This is not a hard question. True or false question?
It is because
Well,
it's
yes.
subjective.
Well, you need to eat to survive. You don't
All
need
right, fine, we
shelter
both
to
say
survive.
true.
Yeah.
You both say true.
It's probably false.
This is a
Shelter.
terrible quiz.
You made it.
No, you can go weeks without food, guys. So you don't need to do that first.
Yeah, but
Drinking water.
You could probably
We
go
can
months
argue
without
water's
shelter.
up.
72 hours without water
Oh yeah, but I
and you
thought
die.
So that's not the. Well, you got 72 hours. You got 3 days.
But you'd think you'd want to get on that pretty quick, wouldn't you?
No, I'd want to get a good spot by the sand, get a bit of sun. I reckon that's your priority.
and I just assumed that water was in the food.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought as well.
The
I
food
thought that
thing.
straight
Food
away.
and
Water.
Yeah.
False.
Yeah. No.
False. Both
Tanning spot is
Terrible,
the best.
terrible,
That's
terrible.
what. That's your
Agreed.
number one.
That was
Okay,
my
true or
number
false?
one.
Next,
Yeah.
we're moving on. True or false? 10%
Nice
of
coconut to rest your head on. Yeah.
10% of Earth's water is suitable for drinking. True or false?
Well, because we got so
10%.
much ocean, I would say true.
False.
We went early on the buzzer. Abby was nodding. Abby was nodding.
No,
true
I
also.
did not. I did not nod.
We're going to give it to Abby, I think.
She's not taking it.
It's only 1%. There you go.
1%.
There you go.
We're an educational podcast.
Great.
Okay, the North Star always stays in the same place.
You can answer this
North
first.
Star. You know this one, don't you?
No, I just said you can answer this first. I've been jumping in, so you can go.
The North Star.
Because I don't have a clue, and I'm just going to base it off yours.
No, false.
False.
Oh, David.
Yes.
That's right. Apparently moves 3/4 of a degree from the celestial north.
So what's the score?
There you go.
Abby's up with 1. False after the buzzer.
3-2.
Yes.
Quizmaster doesn't keep the results.
Cool. Last question.
So it can be a tie. Have you got a tie-breaking
I
question?
don't have a tie-breaking question. You both get a slab if it's a
Okay.
tiebreaker. We've got to move on from this because it's gone way too long. All right. 8,000 feet is when most people start feeling the effects of altitude sickness. True or false?
False.
False.
I did Everett.
Can you guys at least make the game fun? They're going to go one or the other.
What do you mean?
Are you sure?
I beg to differ.
8,000 feet
It's
is
true.
what?
Oh,
Trying to think of...
You're thinking meters.
I was thinking meters.
No, well, no, yeah.
That's pretty damn
It's about-
high.
No, but it's about 2,000 metres people would start feeling it. I thought that'd be around...
Does that look like my writing?
Oh, I thought it was meters.
Yeah, but I thought 8,000 feet would equate to almost, isn't it like a 1/3 to go to metres? I can't remember what feet is to metres. We're not
to be honest,
Americans.
Annabelle's a quiz master, and we're going with Annabelle's question.
All right, Abby, congratulations. You win the
Oh,
slab.
thanks,
You win the
guys.
slab. Yay.
Thank you. Quizmaster over here.
You get the birdie cider.
Good work.
Great.
It's a great cider.
I think everyone agrees that Daniel doesn't do a quiz. You've been banned for at least one episode.
Well, that's okay because it's about time you did some pre-production and did a quiz.
I'll do a quiz. As I said, the thought that counted last night, I sat in front of the computer and thought, I'll do a quiz. I even looked up on the podcast 18 best segments to do on a podcast. And I looked up.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
We had how many months off have we had? And that's what you did last night.
Yep, I did. I'm a very busy man.
Podcast life, Abby. We're real
Podcast
professional
life,
here.
eh?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
It's a very organic podcast.
It is.
Good.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Abby, where are you at with footy at the moment?
So I'm back training, which is good. So I had a operation on my right knee December 14 months ago. And they did a microfracture, but it was a pretty significant one, which is basically where they drill into your femur, make it bleed on purpose, and then clot it to create a bit of a fake meniscus. So I was in a brace from ankle to hip for 3 months to March. Then I went away for Survivor in April. God knows how I did that.
What do they think with the clubs? You were at the Tigers at the time.
Yeah.
What do the Tigers say when you go, I'm going to go on Survivor after just having this major surgery?
Yeah, they weren't wrapped, the medical staff anyway, but 100% supportive, bless them. They've been amazing the last 12 months for me. But then, I came back for 5 weeks and that's not enough time to get back into the swing of training or anything. And then I went away again. So now I'm full-blown footy world, just training and hoping to play some VFLW for the Tigers this year and then see what happens. If I can get back on an AFLW list, it would be great. But if the body says no, then I'll pull the pin and just focus on the work stuff.
Cool.
And what work are you doing in the AFL men's space this year?
Yep. So I'm part of the 7 AFL team full-time this year, which is awesome. They were sensational and really gave me that opportunity last year. And then I had to go to 7 and my EP Gaz and just say Gaz, like Survivor's come up, obviously cross network. And they were really supportive as well. But this year I'm happy to say that I'm just going to fully submerge myself in that footy space and hopefully have a really good year and see who comes out with the flags from both AFLW and AFL perspectives.
How have you gone with that, adjusting to the boundary life? Obviously, you've done it for a couple of years now, but have you got a mentor in that space, been able to tell you about what to look for when you're watching games, about it, and what to speak about when you're talking about AFL games?
I haven't done any training or anything, but
We haven't done any for the podcast either. I don't know if you can tell.
It's all good.
No, but everybody at 7, my executive producer Gaz has been awesome. So basically from day one, when he gave me an opportunity in the VFL, he's always kind of rang me and said, you've done this well or work on this. And, working with Bruce closely with the AFL over the last 12 months, he is incredible. I cannot speak highly enough of that man. He's just a ball of knowledge who wants to help everybody. But same with BT and, the likes of, everybody just wants to help you. So it's really good. But I'm a footy head. I've always been a footy head. My family grew up mad Crow supporters. So it's just been kind of that natural progression for me to go in it. And it was only through the Legends games actually that I just got thrown into TV radio, and that was when I made the decision that I really wanted to kind of forge a career in that space.
It's awesome. One question back on Survivor. When you walked out of the first season of Survivor and you got 5 weeks before you go back in, when did they tell you were going back in?
Good question. So I had just been a part of probably the most epic blindside in Australian Survivor history with Luke Toki. And then so I was still really shocked, didn't really understand what was happening. And then, basically as soon as you get voted off, you go in and have a chat with your EP, Amelia, and she sat me down and said, hey, obviously about this, devastated, blah, blah, blah. She goes, right, well, we're doing an All-Star season and I really want you to be a part of it. And I said, yeah, no worries, thinking 2020, that's going to be the next year.
Yeah, like this time next year sort of thing, yeah.
And then she's just looked at me and she's like, there's a catch. She's like, yeah, we're coming back in 5-6 weeks. You'll miss footy finals because she knows that that's what I do for work. For me, I was just straight up like, I can't even think about this right now. Just give me a burger, maybe 3 pizzas, and then we can discuss this. But she was really great. They gave me a couple of weeks to decide. So when I had made that decision, it was probably about 4 weeks before I jumped on a plane and went back to Fiji.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but what is the biggest challenge just being in Survivor? You spoke about food, family.
Yeah.
Is it missing family at
100%.
home the most?
Yeah. So for me, it was definitely missing Keegs and my family. I understand that I spend a lot of time away from them anyway because I'm based myself in Melbourne for work purposes. They're in Darwin and Adelaide and Keegs was in Perth, but I'm on the phone to them 24 hours a day. I probably speak to Keegs about 100 times a day. It's really bad. But yeah, and my tribe, we kept losing all of the family reward challenges. So the first time I had any point of contact was day 35 out of 50.
That's
and
amazing.
that was... My mum and my sister had designed a plate for me with messages and photos and, so that was really nice to win that. And then I didn't hear from Keegs at all until day 43. And he still gives me shit. Oh, can I say that? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
He still gives me shit though because on merge day, you had the opportunity to drop the sandbag above your head for a phone call home and I chose a taco. So he's like, righto, mate. You chose a taco over talking to me, so don't complain about not getting your letters or whatever.
Didn't make a plate for you because you need a taco off it.
Nah, so I accidentally took a taco instead of speaking to my family, which I regret so much. Yeah.
That's understandable. Tacos.
And I
tacos
think
are good.
we hadn't eaten in about 36 hours. I think we ran out of rice and beans as well. So I was just always thinking food.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So you wouldn't go back anytime soon, is what you're saying?
Oh, as
Unless
I said,
the US one
yeah,
came about.
I would love to take on America. I think that the Australians would absolutely pump them. Their game is 39 days. I don't feel that their challenges are as physically demanding as the Australian Survivor ones.
Really going hard now.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Set it up.
I would love to be part of that. So I think that it needs to happen as well. But hopefully in a different location, maybe mix it up, go somewhere completely random.
But if you do All-Stars versus All-Stars, they've got 40 seasons worth of All-Stars they can pick from. God,
How do you pick?
The guy who won the first one's 75 now, isn't he?
Oh,
it's just so long ago.
It'd be
that they
Boston
did.
Rob and Sandra for sure, though. For
Boston Rob.
sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, Abbey, it's been great having you on. Thank you for coming in finally. We got you in.
Yes, thanks. Sorry about that.
No,
it
it's
has
not your
taken
fault.
us a
We're
little.
just
Probably more on my end.
We're as bad as it. We're all as
Sorry
bad as
about
each other.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you. Well, that was a great chat, mate. Thanks to Colonial with Abbey. That was an awesome insight into Survivor.
First birdie sider that's gone out the door.
First birdie side. I was actually, I should have won that challenge.
You got robbed a little bit with
Your test is terrible. Your quiz.
It's a test.
Your test.
It's a pop quiz.
I'm not about tests.
No. Well, all right. You do the next one then.
All right, I'll do
Do
the
a
next
good
one.
one. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's not just think about it.
As I said, the thought,
The thought doesn't.
the thought that
the
counts.
thought doesn't
The
count.
thought always counts.
Because if the thought was what counts, we just sit here.
All right, let's wrap up
Just
the pod.
think.
No, we're wrapping up this app. Come on, wrap it up.
Thanks to Colonial.
Yeah, thanks to Colonial. Thanks, guys. We're back. So episode 1 down for the year, and we're back.
We're back. See you guys soon.